Sir, one of the things that you told us was that there was a pattern of consistency between the tests, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's start with the PDS. Question 14 and the answer to number 4. You've been told over and over that that was a lie.
Objection misstates the testimony. Overruled.
Okay, so we have the PDS that starts out with the lie. Then if we take a look at what we have here in the Elmo, which is 631, and you take a look over here at the validity scales, those are elevated, right?
One of them is, yes.
Well,
The F scale with the FBS are elevated, yes.
I'm asking about the validity scales. They are elevated, right? You're talking about the F scales. Aren't they elevated?
Yes, 2 of the scales are elevated.
And that means that there's an issue as to whether or not there's malingering there, right?
It's a caution you want to look at.
Sure, it's a second, it can be the issue of secondary gain, right?
Yes, sir.
So if we're talking about somebody who now on 2 tests has already lied, the pattern is that this person is lying, isn't it?
Objection misstates his testimony.
Overruled. You may answer.
Isn't that what the pattern is?
No, because you just used the word lie. The lie scale is actually not one of the ones that was elevated. What was elevated was one that talks about either exaggerating symptoms or symptom severity. So
Sure.
That's different from lying.
So you're saying that somebody who do you go to the Alice Laviolette school that,
Objection argumentative.
Sustain.
And move to strike.
Sustain.
with regard to exaggeration, sir? So you're saying, for example, that if somebody exaggerates something, they're still telling the truth, right?
They might be, but it depends on how much they're exaggerating. That's a continuum.
So it's their degrees of exaggeration that determine. So when does the exaggeration become a lie for you? Is it 10%, 15%, 20%?
Objection beyond the scope.
Overruled.
There is not a percent where it moves into one or the other that you can define the way you do. When you have something exaggerated, it means that there's other things you have to do to look at it, and you need to be cautious. But exaggeration doesn't mean it's either incorrect or a lie. It means this person is displaying many symptoms.
Didn't you just tell me that it depends on the exaggeration? The answer to my question. Isn't that what you told me?
That was the answer to the prior question, yes.
And so I'm asking you, what standard do you use to determine when an exaggeration, in your mind, becomes a lie?
They're not the same thing.
I'm not asking if they're the same thing, am I?
Well, yeah, you are. You're saying, when does an exaggeration become a lie? You can exaggerate something without the event that's being exaggerated being a lie. They're 2 different dimensions that you're trying to ask me about, and I'm having a hard time answering because they're different.
Let's do it by way of example. Let's say that the prosecutor tells you that he's 6 foot tall. Is that an exaggeration or is that a lie?
If we're talking about in this particular
This prosecutor here, right.
It would likely be both.
Oh, so then a lie can also be an exaggeration, right?
Objection relevance beyond the scope.
Overruled.
It can be.
So when does it become a lie if we're talking about this prosecutor? What if he says he's 6'2"?
I don't know if there's a definitive cutoff that I would know about.
So what you're saying is anybody can exaggerate as much as they want, and to you, that never becomes a lie.
No, I did not say that at all.
Well, you're looking at the prosecutor. Do you believe that this prosecutor is 6 foot tall?
I don't believe so, no.
So if this prosecutor told you that he was 6 foot tall and said, I'm exaggerating, would that be the truth? Or would that be a lie, or would that be an exaggeration?
Objection relevance beyond the scope.
Overruled.
If the prosecutor said he was 6 foot tall
Right,
and was
6'2".
6'2" and was exaggerating, what was then the question?
No, you indicated to me that that was an exaggeration. If this prosecutor told you he was 6'2", right?
It could be either.
And you said it could be either. When then, in your opinion, does it become, this exaggeration, become a lie?
I don't know if there's a specific cutoff that you could say like 5'8", 5'9". I wouldn't have a specific criteria that I would move from one to the other. I think you have to look at the context.
You've now introduced something else. We're not talking about 5'8" or 5'9". I said 6'2". Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Objection just asked and answered beyond the scope.
Approach, please.